President Donald Trump set to be arraigned in a Manhattan courtroom tomorrow on charges related to those hush money payments made to Stormy Daniels during the 2016 campaign. So what's going to happen tomorrow in court? Let's break it down with Steve Baric, former prosecutor and partner at Baric & Associates. Always happy to join us here on Fox 5. Steve, good to see you tonight.
Good. Thank you for having me.
As we watch all of this play out, there's a lot that will happen because this is an arraignment, but not every day do we talk about an arraignment involving a former president. So based on what we know so far, what will be normal, what will be abnormal tomorrow?
Well, I think normally any individual will go into a courtroom. The courtroom is generally open to the public. People kind of coming in, coming out. They enter their not guilty plea. They're arraigned, which essentially means they're advised of the charges against them. And in felony cases, generally bail is set, and then an additional date is set after consultation with the lawyers. Tomorrow, my understanding, it's going to be absolutely not the norm. I think the courtroom is going to be closed. There's going to be little to no access to that courtroom. The legal dynamics will still be the same. I'm sure the president will. The former president will enter in a not guilty plea, and then additional dates will be set. But as far as the dynamics, there's nothing normal about this. This is entirely unprecedented in American history. And I think the courtroom scenes tomorrow will reflect that for sure.
Based on what we know so far, there have been various reports out there and speculation about the counts that he might face. Yahoo News is out tonight saying 34 felony counts related to falsification of business records. They say, though, he will be spared the handcuffs, spared the mugshot. In situations like this, that is something where you have the defense. Is this a negotiation with prosecutors on those certain aspects of what an arraignment would contain?
Yeah, for sure. In my career as a prosecutor, we would do that with certain individuals. We would negotiate what we would call a surrender. In cases such as this, there's really no threat to law enforcement from the former president. So in this case, I'm not surprised that they're allowing him to enter without handcuffs. And at that point, the indictment will be unsealed and he'll be advised of the charges against him.
There's been a lot of talk, though, about the underpinnings of this case that Alvin Bragg is bringing forth, because there are several investigations and several cases being brought against the former president. But this one, some believe, when you're talking about business records, when you're talking about this hush money payment and the campaign finance, this might be, based on some analysis, the weakest of the cases so far. Based on what you've seen, what have been your impressions of this?
Well, I think the most important part to point out is because it took place in front of a grand jury, all the evidence, right? So it was all secret. Nobody knows entirely for sure what the charges are and what's the evidence that the prosecution has. So it's a little bit hard to comment, but in light of what I've heard, I think that this is a little bit legally, why don't I use the word, it's very legally creative. To take something that I think the underlying crime is a misdemeanor, and they've used the New York conspiracy statutes to make it into a felony. That's my understanding based on what I know at this point. And if that's the situation, yeah, the prosecutor was extremely creative in reaching a felony indictment based on what I know.
Well, this is just one step of many steps here throughout this case. Steve Baric, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.